We've been talking a lot about reproduction in this class in ecology, and that's because I think if you take an ecological view on ecology, ecology is what ecology does, and ecology is about reproducing itself, right? That's the ecology of Frankenstein. That's all the characters in Frankenstein are defined by the systems of reproduction they're involved in, damage of reproduction. It's a novel of devastating damage, but it's also a novel of a very intricate dream of a family, right? The feeling for family that witnessing the DeLacy's gave the creature and that witnessing the creature gives us. We get involved in this kind of family reproduction. Shelley's really showing us how our experience of this fictional family is what family is from the beginning. Just think of the role of storytelling in family. What your family is, in a way, is a story that you tell yourselves as a family. And there's a real rootedness to that, this kind of heritage narrative. And there's also flexibility and potential for reinvention, putting down new roots. All the, I don't know, kind of naive ideal of romantic love is that you're bound together by what you love about each other. But the reality is that you're bound together by unintended consequences of that commitment. What you didn't, fall in love with, but have to deal with anyway. There's a different level of intimacy to that, right? And that's a maternal intimacy, because that's the maternal bond. It has that same, nesting, devotion to the individual, the master motif of the novel. Not unlike the novel Frankenstein, these poems are all about paying a new kind of attention to the material world in one way or another, training our attentiveness in a non-judgmental way, in a way that doesn't discriminate between what's worthy and what's waste. So a lot of what these texts are about is, not unlike the way Pollan talks about psychedelic drugs, is the powerful, maybe revolutionary effect of the act of reading them. A new experience of the now, I think, how crucial that scene is in Frankenstein, of the time is now. The text bearing witness to the power and the importance of the body in time. It's a responsibility and an implication of rootedness in this complex, ongoing experience of the present. So I think an interesting way of thinking about the topic this week, thinking about psychedelia, is in terms of politics of attention, the control you have over your attention, the freedom and prerogative you have to direct your attention as you like. Because that's what's subversive about these things, is the way they're directing our attention. Our attention's getting directed in very subtle, precise ways, but by way mostly of misused language, right? Not just through his poetic forms, but through the, page they're printed on, the books that he created of these prints. These layers and layers of representation, are about a kind of luxuriating in form, like Ginsberg's extravagant long lines. This literally is a, mashup of poetry and prose. It's just, so using a justified line broken up into these chunks. So we're seeing a kind of primal, poetic shaping, organizing, this kind of spew junk garbage language, that he really likens to trash in pretty grim terms. Um, but that's kind of the power, the beauty of it too, right? Is this bearing witness to the what's beyond our skin of grime. And, he's saying like I can make even this crap pile like venerable, and I can transmit that to you, and the glory of the flower form per se. Form, it's like reproduction. It's not a static form, but it's a form of reflection, of echo, of recurrence. This identity in recurrence, the form of an interactive recurrence. All else is trash. What else could I name? The smoky ashes of some cock cigar, the cunts of wheelbarrows, and the milky breasts of cars. Worn out asses out of chairs and sphincters of dynamos. All these entangled in your mummied roots, and you there standing before me in the sunset, all your glory in your form. Poor dead flower, when did you forget you were a flower? When did you look at your skin and decide you're an impotent, dirty old locomotive, the ghost of a locomotive, the specter and shade of a once powerful, mad American locomotive? You were never no locomotive, sunflower. You were a sunflower. And you, locomotive, you were a locomotive. Forget me not. So I grabbed up the skeleton thick sunflower and stuck it at my side like a scepter, and deliver my sermon to my soul, and Jack's soul too, and anyone who'll listen. We're not our skin of grime. We're not dread, bleak, dusty, imageless locomotives. We're golden sunflowers inside. It's another transmission, like the Ozymandias. He's reading passion, writing, making his passion contagious across the text. Synesthesia is sort of the hallmark psychedelic experience, a confusion of the senses, like how Baudelaire evokes this primal unity, deep tenebrous unity, vast as the dark of night, this swirling, undifferentiated, sensuous reality that language closes us off from, but we can evoke in these kind of paradoxical terms. Perfumes as cool as the flesh of children, sweet as oboes. So in these last two stanzas, like I was saying about Ginsberg, he gives a kind of formal arrangement to the primal swirl, the sort of perfumes, the beautiful, and then the sublime, the kind of dark, corrupt, but just already that it's sort of innocence and experience, that binary there. The extravagance of the poem is an extension of this corrupt, rich, and triumphant. It's like, Milton and Blake. Poetry is on the side of Satan. So this kind of toxic taste, the poisonous taste, for amber and incense, musk, benzoin. That's one thing, but in a way even more corrupt would be to write a poem about that, right? But isn't it interesting how it returns to these basic patterns? Reflection, just like echoing, it's like the flower. And there seems something psychedelic about that too, this attentiveness to the present moment for its own sake, or, this arrangement of time and experience. So just sort of a honing of your attention, honing reflective awareness of the reality of the world around you. So I love the formal beauty of these poems because it's about lavishing attention on what's otherwise despised, giving it a kind of sacred status, writing poems about it. It's a tradition of poetry, I think, goes back to Keats, who likewise tended to speak from a place of impotence and despair, but in lavishly finely wrought language.